The following program is being brought to you by Rain of Fire Radio, a media outreach arm of Rain of Fire Evangelical Ministries. Our commitment is to sponsor programs that will assist in living a Christian life and win others through teaching the finished work of Jesus Christ. Welcome to Delivered or Deceived with your host, Rand Berkey. Rand is a former cult member who now educates people on the dangers of these types of groups, as well as people who would seek to exploit and terrorize others. Rand has devoted his life to providing assistance to those who have been hurt. No one wants to be led through the wilderness by a guide who has never been there. He has, and his desire is that you will find yourself delivered and not deceived.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rain of Fire Christian Radio. My name is Rand Berkey, and I'm your host. And tonight we're going to share Chapter 9, basically B, of my book, Delivered from Deception, My Time in the Way International. And I've been going through this book, talking about different things, and commenting on the issues as they come up, as it pertains to mind control, brainwashing, and deprogramming. But first, I'd like to set the stage, sharing one of the foundational scriptures of Rain of Fire Evangelical Ministries, as well as Rain of Fire Radio. In Luke 4:17 through 19 it states, "And Jesus was handed the book of the prophet Isaiah, and when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, 'The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, proclaim liberty to the captives, and the recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord.'" Christ is the message, and I'm only one of the bearer of the messages. Well, we were in the part where we had just gotten done going to the drive-in with our cardboard cars and depositing them later on after we got done with the movie. Now, the next part we're going to talk about, and I've talked about this in another chapter, is the advanced class on Power for Abundant Living. This is the most in-depth knowledge, so to speak, for anybody that's maybe not on the inside like the Way Core. There's one advanced class, but the Way Core advanced class is so much different because as the leaders of the Way International, we needed to have more knowledge. So I'm jumping into the rest of the chapters, and from there I'm going to be making another few comments, as well as talking about something that's really exciting that's happening in Warren, Ohio on the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. Well, hold on to your hats, here we go. The next major event that took place was the advanced class for the Way Corps, and it was a special occasion. We would be in class for 2 weeks of intensive study. We would be finding out the deepest mysteries of God. The advanced class for the Corps provided even more detail than was offered to the advanced class taken by other Way believers. After all, we were God's elite and totally committed. We should be privy to more information. All but the absolute necessary work was suspended and the meals were changed. We were given almost twice as much to eat as before. The advanced class would run concurrently for all the Way Corps at the different campuses. Werewolf came to Emporia to open the advanced class. We were the first ones. He would be visiting all the campuses during the class. There was a phone hookup to all the campuses for the opening. After the opening, sometime during the first week, Werewolf told us he had a special message. He told us he would reveal what God had showed him on the first night he spoke in tongues in Tulsa, Oklahoma. During the PFL class in the book The Way, Living in Love, He had implied that there had been more to the incident than he ever had revealed. Now, he was going to let the secret be known to the Way Corps. There was an electricity that permeated the atmosphere on the day we were to find out. Werewolf took the stage, and after all the preliminaries, got down to business. He told us what God had revealed to him was as long as his children stood on the Word, the Way ministry would never become extinct until the second coming of Christ. We were charged with the responsibility of keeping the Way alive and spreading the Word to the entire world. We were the vanguards of the Word, living in the believers' hearts. We went to bed that night with the heaviness, as well as the joy, of the responsibility we had been entrusted. We would be learning how important this charge would be. Later in the class, Martindale came to Emporia to spend time with us. During one of our meetings, he revealed to us the conspiracy that beset the United States. We were in danger at any time to be taken over by the communists, who would create a one-world government. The Pope and the Catholic Church would work in connection with the government to oppress and destroy all other religions in the United States, especially the Way International. The Jews would be in charge of all the monetary transactions. The Trilateral Commission and the Illuminati were orchestrating all this, and at any time the world's monetary system would fail, and America would be plunged into ruin. We would then be overrun by Russia, and the nation would be in servitude. The Roman Catholic Church would use the government to persecute and destroy all who opposed them. They would hunt down those who had the truth of God's Word, of course we in the Way, to persecute and kill us. A lot of time was spent on how music was being used to destroy the moral fiber of our society. We were given information on how these groups are controlled by Satan, and shown how music in the wrong hands could enslave individuals as well as countries. We learned that music was used to manipulate people and to get people to open themselves up to devil spirit possession. The result was a soberness of the realization of what we were up against, an incredible sense of privilege to have been chosen by God to be in a position to make a difference. With the advanced class ending, it left about 2 months in our first year. Preparations needed to be made for the Way Corps graduations and weddings. During this time, tragedy struck. Martindale had come to give us the news personally. He told us that one of the people who had been involved in the lead accident early in the year had been released from the 11th Corps. He said she had not been able to keep up with the Corps program. Instead of her finishing the last 2 months of training, the leadership thought it best to give her a leave of absence so she could come back to redo her final year. About a week later, she was found in a motel near Columbus, Ohio, having apparently committing suicide. The news shocked and saddened us. I had known Mandy, helping her a few times by carrying her books to her from class when we happened to meet. I also knew her brother because he had been our apprentice corps coordinator. She had suffered a concussion and a broken leg in the accident. After she came back to the campus, she had been expected to maintain the same rigorous schedule as everyone else, though her leg was not healing properly. She had been sent to headquarters before she had been released. Headquarters was not an easy place to get around because of the distance between the different locations. The news was also put into the core household newsletter. When the letter came out, it was made clear that this information was not to be shared with anyone but the Way Corps. The way it was written in the newsletter, the leadership laid the blame on her. Had she been faithful to do the program, this would not have happened. The letter implied that anyone who did not grow in the program could suffer the same consequences. The letter left out that she had committed suicide, but said that she had simply fallen asleep. The rationale they used was sad. Ultimately, it was her responsibility to keep her mind closed to devil spirit possession. Because she did not, she became possessed with the devil spirit of suicide and took her own life. This was an object lesson of the worst sort. Fear was always negative according to the Way doctrine, yet we were always aware that if we strayed too far from the fold, the devil was there to get us, especially if we were a member of the Way Corps. The devil took special delight in destroying those who had devoted their lives to thwarting his plan. Just before the Corps graduation and weddings, we received our assignments for our interim year. We would be on staff at headquarters. The Corps leadership told us one of the reasons was for us to get further help with our marriage. Rose would be working in daycare, and I'd be working in the printing department. I was excited about being at the hub and heart of the ministry. I also figured I must have something special on the ball spiritually to be assigned to such a crucial location. For the final block, all the 11th Corps came to Emporia, which meant some of my 13th Corps brethren were to go to other campuses. This was the first time the 13th Corps would be separated. We said farewell to those who were sent to other campuses and then buckled down to our assignments. The remainder of the 13th Corps was responsible for making sure everything ran smoothly for the 11th Corps graduation and weddings. I had two assignments. I was to be on general labor and to be an escort for the Board of Trustees' wife. There would be some functions where the husband had special duties, so the wife would need someone to escort her. We would be on call 24 hours a day for the duration of the festivities. We had meetings to train us in the proper way to escort, and were given a 3-page handout of things to be aware of in our duties. Thankfully, the woman I was to escort would not be a difficult person to deal with. After all these events were done, Emporia would then be one of the locations hosting the advanced class for the qualified Way believers. We all had to move our belongings to one dorm because the students would use all the other dorms. Beds had to be set up to accommodate them. We were given our assignments for the class, and I was back in food services. There would be 2 shifts, and I was to be on the first one. We had to also do a couple of bless patrol at night, as well as mingle with the students during our free time, which was there was very little. Class seemed to go rather smoothly. One of Rose's friends was working bless patrol in the building where the class was taking place. She told us stories of people freaking out and losing control. I was amazed because I'd never witnessed such a thing in our advanced classes. I figured that the light of God's Word was tormenting devil spirits, causing the people to be disruptive. During this time, we had adjoining rooms with another couple, and I became friends with the husband. I told him briefly about the situation with Jane a couple of months before. He let me know the same thing happened to him and his wife. And as far as he knew, to all the married couples. I realized what Jane had done was a ploy to get us to tell on ourselves and each other. The point seemed was to get more information in order to manipulate us. Yet I thought all they wanted was was in our best